Welcome to Inner Smile, the podcast focused on mental health of public figures because I personally feel like a light isn't shined on that enough. So I try to talk to individuals who overcame a lot of these struggles, including myself. Today I'm with the CEO, founder of Book by Benj, my homie Benji. He's a talent agent and he does a lot more than that also. I'll kind of have him explain everything he does and give a little background on himself.
I appreciate the intro, Keys. So, yeah, my name is Benjamin Benson. I run the agency called Book by Benj, based in Los Angeles, and got some smaller operations, dabbled around America, actually. And I'm glad I'm actually here today. I think it's something that I really need to do. I'm rebranding the agency, and
Yeah.
I think it's definitely the best, first step, into that rebranding. Appreciate you.
And how long you been doing
I've been doing
talent
this.
booking?
So I've been doing this. I made that decision back around March of 2019.
2019?
So it's been
Okay.
6 years, roughly around almost seven. And before that, I was actually a rapper and producer myself.
Oh, word.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna release that information because my whole career was retconned, is what I tell people. It was retconned.
And it was in LA, right?
Yeah, I was in
Like
LA. I
mostly-
was raised out here since I was just 18 months old. I was born in upstate Rochester, New York, in the Brighton district, and came here when I was a baby with my family.
Now, off rip, that got to be harder to try and do it in LA just because, like, it's a lot going on. Everybody trying to do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Hollywood is a very contagious, place.
definitely.
A lot of people could get easily seduced into that, and I myself and many others, I'm sure you as well, at one point were all trapped in that seduction. It's pretty seductive. It's like it's literally selling a lifestyle. But as you get deeper and deeper in the game, you start seeing the cracks throughout the whole service level fantasy.
Definitely.
But doesn't mean that it's entirely bad. Yeah, there's a lot more problems than not in Hollywood right now, and in particular in the city of Los Angeles. But it's definitely a profitable industry. Music is going to be around forever. I'm sure anybody could agree with that. Just might not be the labels. I probably say in the next couple of years it should be ran by independents, entirely.
That's the. I actually think we already there.
We're definitely in phase one, like year one of
Yeah.
that, but not it hasn't been really official, but it's starting to creep, into the Hollywood scene, starting to bleed through that, while Hollywood is kind of crumbling down right now because of, some very,
Yeah.
self-inflicting actions. Like you shoot yourself in the foot, but you blame the bystander that got caught in the crossfire. That's kind of like the logic that goes around,
Yeah.
when they make bad decisions and malice ones too.
And I actually remember when I first started coming to LA, was probably maybe 8 to 10 years ago. I was doing one of those Hollywood tours, and thought it was such a big thing. But the guy told me, he was like, Hollywood is 5% business and 95 or 5% show and 95% business. So like once you realize that, everybody come here they're just excited. It's just so much going on, so much opportunity,
And that's
right?
the- that's
but
the show you're talking
95%
about.
of it never happens, just falls through.
Well, yeah,
And they got to
because
stick around for the 5%.
yeah, and that's why I prefer to be in the 5%. I've always been an
Right.
outcast and an outlier since as far as I can remember in my life, and I embrace that role, if anything, because I'm not a part of that crowd.
Yeah.
I'm the type of guy to bring common sense, while the other one is trying to cuss me out for doing that.
Definitely.
But
People appreciate that in the long run. I know I do.
oh yeah, no, I still got respect from those people. It doesn't matter if they hate me; they definitely respect me just as equally, if anything.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the game. I mean, you gotta make enemies, of course, when you have a very polished and vigilant mind, while others, are kind of wasting it on backwoods, and some other BS. But, that's kind of how the game is. But nonetheless, Hollywood definitely is a profitable industry. I've seen it
Yeah.
myself in freelance with very minimal structure in the first couple of years, of what I was doing, actually. I mean, I made damn near six figures, in year two, 2021. And that was a very, very historical year, for my career, but also for
Yeah.
my personal life. That's where I got all my credibility, from Young Blue, T-Grizzly. I mean, during all of COVID, basically, which would be, say, probably 2020 to 2023. That's
Yeah.
where I got all my credibility. That's where I got all the big names I work with. Like I said, Young Blue, Wiz, T Grizzly, ESTG, Gotti, more.
And those the moments where it really tell you that this is what you meant to do.
Yeah, and
know what I'm saying?
that was actually all done just by Instagram networking on my own hands. Every
That's
day.
crazy.
That's all I do.
Power in Instagram.
Yeah, no, like social media definitely has changed the landscape when it first popped out. But when it started dominating, that was a totally different game. You
Yeah.
cannot be an artist nowadays at all. Like nobody's gonna know who the hell you are. Nobody will care unless you are savvy with social media, at least to the minimum. And you got to utilize that and monetize it every time. And that's what I always do. It's like I have a lot of different contacts, and I like to utilize and monetize them to the best of my ability, because if I don't, there's no reason of even succeeding in the first place. Can't hold back, can't pull any punches when it comes to trying to make some shit shake. Even when the other side ain't doing it, if you're the one leading the delegation, it's harsh to say, but that person ain't budging, they could always be replaced in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood is just, a whole lake of replacements and revolving doors.
And I definitely want to circle back to that topic about, being a good social media personality in today's age. So we can definitely jump into our topics. I'm glad to be having this conversation with you.
Same.
It's Inner Small. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about with you is this whole concept of these models not wanting to work for free. I know your take, and that's exactly why I want to talk to you about this.
Mm-hmm.
There's been so many times where I'll call you or somebody else will call you, that I'm dealing with other artists or something that needs something. And, they'll kind of explain it's a great opportunity for this, this model, this actor, whatever. And you'll be like, my talent don't work for free. We're like, no matter what it is. I know you're stern on that, and I want to get your understanding before I say my understanding.
Of course. So I'm going to keep it simple with this. If you do a job, you should get paid. That's what I learned growing up. And if you accept to do something, without charge and want to boost your career, of course, if people need that, then go ahead. You got to respect the choice, because I wouldn't do it, but if the other one does, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't hurt my pockets or my business.
Would you encourage it?
Not really nowadays. I mean, like I would say for beginners, people that are making endeavors of trying to breach into the industry, that's kind of have to be a mandatory. You can't ask for money off the rip when you're still a rookie. You don't have any credibility. You're posting selfie pics. Is there modeling submissions? People like that. And there are even still a lot of women nowadays, and I do deny them, from casting or even getting submitted, because I don't take selfie photos. If you're sending me selfie photos on your iPhone, it's like, yeah, you're still kind of a rookie, and I don't want to work with you.
Right.
Until you start boosting your stuff up, I'll consider you, but you're not going to be a main thing that I would actually want to work with. You got to come to me professionally. I'm a businessman,
right?
Not just some rapper trying to book you for a shoot. I'm the one that's trying to book you for a shoot for the rapper.
Right.
I'm trying to make you presentable.
That's kind of my perspective of it, where they have to do a couple things to build that portfolio to come to somebody like you.
Yeah, they still have to build their credibility. I mean,
Right.
What you think that Jeff Bezos, when he was starting Amazon, was asking for the same pricing or the same deals from other negotiators?
Exactly.
Like when he started, no. He had to work hard for that, and that's what I did. That's what many other people like myself have done. So simple as that. If you do a job, you should get paid. And if you choose otherwise, stand on that choice and don't back out. Because there's a lot of women, and reason also, and speaking of such, a lot of women back out of those free collaborations last minute, and they don't like to make some, pretty reasonable means of canceling. But there's a lot of them that are just pathological when they lie.
Right.
And we could all agree on that. Even the ones that that remark is targeted to. I mean, a lot of people could see lies for what they are.
Yeah.
Especially when it's just blatant out.
And it completely kills their credibility. Nobody wants to
totally
work with them after that.
And there's a girl that actually that burnt a bridge over not sending a deposit back. And I told you recently, I'm not gonna say
No, that's
who.
just crossing the line.
Yeah, there's
not sending the deposit. One thing showing up and not showing up,
and then
it's
taking the
another
money
thing
and
to
not
keep the money.
Yeah, so and there's a lot of females, over the years, not saying a massive amount, but there are definitely some significant instances in where I send a deposit. I'm a very good businessman. I want to make sure you come by. You deserve that. And next thing you know, they just run off with it and they make some excuse. I mean, And the thing about it, when it comes to anybody trying to be in our side of the industry, if a girl hides their story on social media, which is always the norm, just make sure you got a burner account to watch their story because they're going to hide it from you. And it's so easy to find after seeing it for so many years from so many gorgeous gardens of women. They're going to hide their story because they know they're guilty and they damn well know it.
And that's ridiculous because
it's cowardly. It's
spineless. Taking the money, that, it's like they're not anticipating who they're being casted by going anywhere.
Yeah,
because as soon as they go anywhere, they're gonna say, they're gonna.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of these women, like,
you.
they go to clubs, they go to parties, and got all this free stuff and whatnot just for the looks. And unfortunately, they dilute themselves from the reality of, like, okay, you're not doing things long term. We could see that if you're stealing money from a casting agent because you cancel but never send it back.
Right.
It's not and that's another thing.
And Hollywood is small too.
Yeah, no, it's just, especially in Los Angeles, out of all places, you're not going to find the same people back to back in Miami or New York like that. Mm-hmm. You're only going to find them back to back in Los Angeles. Everything is so accessible out here and so known. But that's another thing. Like me, I'm a good businessman. I have good faith in things, right? Mm-hmm. And typically when it comes to a new model on the roster, getting her first shoot and all that, I wouldn't send her the deposit. She got to earn it, to come by first, show a good impression.
Right.
And then, nowadays I do plan to do 2 to 3 shoots where they have to come and get payment on arrival before they begin getting deposits. I like to give the little lucky number 3 thing to where, third time's a charm and they've proven themselves to do so. That's kind of a policy that I'm going to be leaning towards, for newcomers or ones that haven't been casted as much, because one of the models I mentioned to you, like I said, I'm going to keep her name secret. She was booked first, and you shot that project actually with her client. She came first, she got paid on arrival, and she did very great, very good impression. But then next casting that comes around, it's a totally different thing. So I don't want to delude myself from saying, okay, this girl got casted, she did good first time, so every other time is gonna be the same. No, like I'm more hyper vigilant about that than recent times.
Yeah.
But I would say to the models that try to justify and excuse not paying money back, grow a spine, do right, and fight God, because that's just cowardly as can be. And I don't care about that. They know what I think, and I'm not afraid about that. That's cowardly, flat out.
And I'm glad
that goes for guys too.
Right. And I'm glad we're speaking about it, because not only is that a message to the models, but that's also a message to the artists, the casting directors, everybody that is dealing with this, to be aware that this is happening.
100%. Casting directors need to be hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
And obviously there has to be a balance. I made mistakes from being hyper vigilant. Sometimes I can't help it. Sometimes I can. It all varies on the situation and where my mind is at. But yeah, women need to start women in the modeling industry need to settle with the fact that I'm going to get paid on arrival, because there's a massive epidemic of women that are scamming casting directors or artists and so forth. And, they try to, dilute themselves from what is really going on, because they live in the moment. They don't live long-term like that. They don't see things long-term, unfortunately. I mean, there are a solid handful, and we know a lot of them. Like, shout out to Amarise, girl's been around with my agency for the last 4.5 years, damn near 5. I mean, she runs businesses, doing good for herself. She is somebody that I could see long-term with my own business. Mm-hmm. But you're not going to find a lot of people like that in the modeling industry. Short-term, go to the club, live life, etc. And then, they say, oh, I took this guy's money, but I needed it, so it's like, it's okay, it doesn't cost me a lot. You don't see the long-term effects of, like, how you just broke a bridge for $150 basically. What
exactly.
kind of, what, like, and especially when somebody's rebranding and you see it, people talk about it. You got to be a class act moron to really break a bridge for $150.
Right.
That's a class act dumbass move.
Right.
It's hilarious, but that's what happens. But I would say, yeah, for any casting directors trying to breach in the game, give girls deposits on arrival, base them individually on their merits and how they come around. They do good work, they obviously comply. And if they do, that's when they should get deposits. They got to earn their wage, just like any other man in the world or any woman in the world has to earn, their right, to do certain things and also be deserving of it. You have to earn to deserve.
Definitely. I definitely agree.
Yeah.
It sucks that it has to be that way, but,
it's a lot
This
of
is where we are.
Yeah, and it's a lot of influences that come from Hollywood, and of course they wouldn't be accountable, but we can't do much about that. The level that we're at. But later on maybe. But Hollywood does have a hand to do with that because of a lot of contagious yet poisonous ideals that are being pushed to people that listen to their favorite artists in the game or their favorite podcasts, or just media in general, entertainment as a whole. There's a lot of very venomous influences that a lot of women, unfortunately, are succumbing to. And,
Definitely.
it might be cool for a cool minute, but long term, you're essentially shooting yourself in the foot and still blame the bystander that caught in the crossfire.
Definitely.
That's the kind of logic, Never blame yourself, blame the other person. And that's not just with models, that could be for anybody in the world, especially how the moral bankruptcy of the world is right now. It's, you can only expect it nowadays.
Yeah. And you think it only happens like that in LA? Because
No,
I've witnessed it
definitely.
everywhere.
Look, Hollywood
It's a global epidemic.
Hollywood is not just in the confines of LA. It's everywhere.
Right.
Entertainment is everywhere in the world. It essentially runs people's minds to the point of mass control of the populace. But nonetheless, entertainment is what keeps people looking forward to coming home after work. New season of your favorite show, just popped off as soon as you got home from work. They look forward to that. So entertainment has, its benefits for people to look forward to their favorite things. But, there's a lot of detriment, and I believe there should be a lot of cleanup.
Yeah, definitely. I think this will help a lot of the cleanup.
Yeah, but it's not just, it doesn't limit to LA, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere that has entertainment, there will always be a handful of slugs in the mainstream scene that will be acting like that in a venomous way.
Yeah.
Very malice intentions, of breaking bridges for easy money. And they want to portray themselves having money, but then they do that type of stuff. People that do that, they're one of the most povertized people possible with an even poorer mind, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I also see how they don't take it seriously when it's, when it's lower pay. But you got to take all jobs. Your reputation is everything. So
if you get to that level where you can start getting paid, yeah. But it's like if you're already established, you have your fan base settled, you have your content, you're obviously working with other co-agencies and all that. Obviously don't take every gig that comes your way because you could lose a bigger one by being too impulsive and also money hungry.
Right.
It's not bad to be money hungry, but there's a difference between that and greed. When you're greedy, you don't think. You only think about the dollar sign rather than a better opportunity that will come your way. And I've denied, I probably denied 60% of the gigs that I had inquired to me in the last 6 years. Maybe even less, actually. I'm not.
That's surprisingly low.
Yeah, it's surprisingly low because I know what I'm doing. I bring a good service, and people actually respect and like my work because I'm competent. I'm on top of things. You contacted me for some girls this morning, right? What did I do? Less than 2 hours, boom, got them, done. Mm-hmm. And my record actually is booking 2 girls in 7 minutes flat with a 3-hour notice for a shoot. 2023, actually. And on a bigger scale, 2022
crazy.
in May, I booked 20 girls in a mansion. Once I got the deposit, 2 hours later, done.
That actually leads me into ask this question. You ask for autonomy a lot. Why is that?
So I asked for cast control and autonomy for the project when it comes to last minute inquiries. So, and a lot of people don't want to listen, to this when I try to tell them because they just cop out off the rip when I say I have to take cast control. You can't choose the girls. Mm-hmm. So if you come last minute to me, it's kind of sloppy, it's irresponsible, ill preparation. So with those evident factors of you inquiring last minute, and from my perspective, I say, okay, if you're that poorly prepared, I have to take executive order and make the decision for you because you've already proven that you cannot make a decision in a timely manner. If you come last minute, you're not gonna make a quick decision. You can't go through all 20, 30 girls on my roster to choose and then expect them to be available and you don't send me anything from that, no. And then plus, I take a full payment, for last minute gigs, but
That makes sense though.
Yeah, but in recent times, especially with new clients, right? I got to make sure I do good with the newer ones, as an impression. They don't got to do an impression like that to me to that extent, but I do. I have an obligation to do that to make sure my business flows, it's running, people keep coming back, and I keep hooking them up. Build a relationship. But I would say, sorry, my mind is actually racing really quick. I'm on like 3.5 hours of sleep. I'm sure from last night. And then even this morning, I couldn't get no sleep when I needed to. But
No, I got you. It all makes sense. I think we got the point.
Oh yeah. I was saying about the deposit and payment for the last minute. New clients, they could do a half deposit, starting out, and then of course I tell them for later on. If you come last minute, it's no problem. Your inquiry is welcome, but we got to move on that notion moving forward. Since I kind of proved myself already, I brought the girls or whatever you needed, and we just got to move in that type of direction. But when it comes to returning clients that do that, they know how I roll. They just give me the full payment up front and full autonomy, and I get it done easily. Like 3, 4, 5 girls. I mean, I can get all that done within like an hour, hour and a half. And communication updates are always constant.
No, I got you. So I want to circle back to the main topic and ask one question about it. So I don't believe there's any point in a model's career where she shouldn't be determining case by case if she should be doing free work. Now, from my understanding of your conversation, you believe there's a point where she should start getting paid for everything she does.
Yes, but I could see where you're coming from, because sometimes, let's say this, me in like an ideal world in this conversation, I would say if The Weeknd, my favorite artist for the last decade since I was in high school, if he contacted me for some girls for the club or like a video shoot, I might just come out of pocket for that because he's my favorite artist. So I could see where you're getting at in that sense. But still, it depends on the person and what the benefit will come from that as you build and collaborate.
Right.
Because a lot of these and a lot of models like be doing free work for these, average shows. They're like nobody knows about them.
Yeah, way different.
It's way different. So it's like, and that's what really perpetuates like the idea and the delusion that a lot of artists are taking in. And I hope that they understand, the reality of it. It's like, just because these girls that do a free shoot, or these people that do free stuff, doesn't mean the next guy that is not your friend, that does not know you, is going to do that. And there's a lot of people in my DMs asking for collaborations or free work and whatnot, off the rip, with no merits, no deserving it, never earned it. And that's, what's really giving them a bad rep, in my opinion, on the mass scale. There's a lot more to that, but yeah. Next one?
Okay.
I bet.
Okay, so this topic is, I've had so many terrible experiences with this, and it's models showing up. Now, some people say it could go either way. I don't agree. But, models like to show up undressed, no makeup done, and they do it on set.
And then also like 15 minutes later, some shit.
Right. And they do it when they show up. And they don't understand that people are paying for a lot of these sets hourly. They're paying for a lot of these crews hourly.
Mm-hmm. So overtime is going to be a bitch, on that front. And
exactly.
And then crazy thing about it is that a lot of them would say, "I'm not staying later."
Exactly.
Why the hell would you? Like,
it's later
late,
because of them.
Yeah, like you come late and you say, "I'm not going to stay later," but still expect the same pay. You know what I would do if a woman came to me on that notion? I would say, "Okay, no problem. I'm gonna tell her what she wants to hear." And I've done it before, actually, with the chick back a few months ago. I haven't cast her since, because she came an hour and a half late and then wanted to bail out.
Hour and a half late.
Yeah, hour and a half late. And I gave her a deposit and all that because she came from a close colleague, with his own agency. We do a lot of switching, with different girls. We provide them for each other, all that. But yeah, she got a deposit. I mean, she still got paid for that. But I told her what she wanted to hear. And the next thing you know, I'm just like, nah. You came an hour and a half late. You're not getting full pay. You're going to stick with that deposit. And it's your choice want to get casted again, but you got to move a lot better. Of course, she got upset.
Right. They don't even realize that ruins it in the long term. You made off with whatever the pay was for that project, but you killed every project in the future.
Well, I mean, incompetence, is what reigning in power right now. So, of course, women like that look to people in power and they're like, he seems so cool, but he's really like, a straight dumbass. I mean, that's typically the case. Incompetence enforces rules in a place that has moral decay. But yeah, it's just like being accountable, being responsible, being an adult, a grown adult. I mean, a lot of girls that are, 25, 26, 27, like, hitting the end of their physical prime, they're still doing that stuff and thinking it's okay because they've been coddled their entire lives. And then they get even more coddling, more princess treatment by these 40 plus years old in the club, getting bottles and tables. And of course I understand what they're trying to do. I mean, it's pretty evident. I don't knock them down for it, but nonetheless, it's like you're coddled your entire life by your parents, and then adulthood, when you look pretty and grew into your body, of course, started gaining that. Then you go to the clubs, you know, for a 40-some-year-old that you think is gonna like you and is gonna love you later on, but he's not. He's a Giga Chad, and we all know Giga Chads.
What is a Giga Chad?
A Giga Chad is somebody that essentially Look, every time a Giga Chad breaks a woman's heart, we have a woman that says, "I hate men" every time. And those
That's
are guys
facts.
Yeah,
That's facts.
Yeah.
What is a Giga Chad?
A Giga Chad is basically somebody that, you know, how do I explain this? But a Giga Chad is somebody that, let's say, tall, dark, and handsome, but not you, obviously. It's not you. But nonetheless, let's say, you know, let's say he's just, you know, some type of like Andrew Tate figure, but, you know, lacks the value, lacks the principle in some cases. And, you know, Tate, you know, I like some of his stuff. I don't agree with a lot of them, but I can respect his work. But let's say just like in the club, super, like hyper masculine, like I'm buff as shit. I got money, this and that. You know, which, mind you, is not really masculinity.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got
You get what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
they basically sway the woman into their good looks and charm, and basically, you know, take them back to the house. And next thing you know, it's like the girl's dropped on the curb like nothing. And every time a Giga Chad does that, basically, you know, you still a woman that could be wifey material to somebody better.
Yeah. In a nutshell, be camera ready.
Yeah. So sorry, we were leaning somewhere else. Like I said, I'm
see where you
sleep
went.
deprived. Yeah.
I
I'm
see where
sleep
you went.
deprived as hell. My apologies. I'm sleep deprived.
I see where you went, but they
yeah,
they
coming
learned
off-
this quickly after maybe 2 or 3 shoots. They learned.
Oh no,
show
they don't. Oh
up.
no, they don't. There are women that do that shit continuously. Like I know
Oh,
women
they've never
from.
been called out.
So no, yeah,
That's
they've never been
ridiculous.
called out because they constantly getting coddled for their good looks. But you know, a real man is not going to be swayed by good looks like that. He's going to be swayed by merits, by action, by character.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I come in. You know, as far as like this is how I operate. I'm not going to coddle you like you're my little princess. You know, like the other agencies or your dad. Like we're doing business. Like we're doing business. I want to treat you as a commodity. We could obviously build and grow over time, but
Right.
don't
And
be
you
pulling
know
that
what?
bullshit.
That's actually what's different about you because, you know, if you let go of a model, another agent's just gonna pick them up just because their appearance. But you actually want to know their work
which
ethic.
would be
You wanna know,
my
you know.
competitors every time because like they even try
Right.
to like my competitors over the years, they even try to send people to infiltrate my models. You know, when they meet them per se, or like get in the DMs asking, "You want to come to this agency?" And I'm just talking about people that I know that never booked, of course, so I don't give a shit about them. People that I know that were essentially trying to be doing espionage, you know, attacking my roster and all that.
That's actually
They're-
crazy.
Yeah, like they're actually saying, "Come to this agency, this and that," and my girls tell me, because I've earned that, I've earned merits, I've earned respect,
Right.
and they will tell me because loyalty is the result of respect and also good merits.
Right.
You know, that's the formula for loyalty. So, and they tell me, and I just laugh about it. I'm like, this guy is really desperate for more girls. Are you kidding me? He already
That's
fucked
deep
up that
to know
much.
that this war is happening behind the scenes too, because
There's
it's
a lot of
wars
stuff
in every
happening behind
department.
the scenes. You kidding me? Everything happens
Ridiculous.
behind the scenes.
That's
Everything in the
ridiculous.
public is just a show, like entertainment. That's why
Yeah.
it's called entertainment. They entertain you, but everything behind the scenes, that's where
rough.
that's where the real juice comes from.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot of people that try to like act like, and this is before, it hasn't happened in a while because, you know, I kind of put a stop to it. You know, kind of put like little blockade and whatnot, and started laughing about it. So yeah, there are people that have actually tried to take, you know, the girls from my agency, cast them and whatnot, but then I obviously tell them exactly what they are. I show proof. I have receipts. I come prepped. I'm not an idiot. I'm not just gonna go think that people are gonna take my word for it off the rip. I gotta earn that like anybody else.
Right.
But yeah, people try to like steal my
That's
girls
deep.
multiple times, whether it's rappers or other agency directors, and that's where it comes into play. Jealousy is one hell of a drug.
Yeah.
And people think that it's not jealousy just because they're not saying it or they're not showing it blatantly out.
Right.
Nah, bro.
They gotta
Jealousy
understand.
is silent.
They gotta understand they're in the industry of smart people too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And,
So-
and smart people, yes, definitely.
Definitely get where you're coming from. We on the same page with that. I think everybody should be on the same page with that. But, you know, other models will argue, well, this is part of my time, so I should be able to get ready there.
Part of your
It's not
time, you
gonna
should
work
come
like that.
prepared ahead. Like, are you gonna go? Like, if you go into like LAX for a flight, your flight's at 9 p.m. Let's say, right? You gotta go at like 9:15, saying like, oh, I'm paying you guys, you know, to do this. Like, just get me on the flight when everybody's boarded. It's like kind of like that. Like you're already too late, but you expect people to like go stick their necks out for you alone
Exactly.
when you messed up. You didn't come prepared. You obviously screwed up. Like
Right.
you really want people to be accountable for your fuck ups.
Right. And when
I
you're
mean, that's-
charging by the hour, most likely they booked you for when the camera's gonna start rolling.
Yeah, or at least like
Think about
at
it.
least a 15-minute grace period. That's what I always give for shoots. I mean, you've seen it. A lot of people seen it. Our clients have seen it. I give a 15-minute grace period. I know how it could be, but then I also give the artist the extra 15 minutes after the completion time, right? I give them 15 minutes to like shoot an extra scene or two in case. And the thing about it is that a lot of my girls, I'm not gonna lie, there's only been like a couple cases in this situation where like they come through and they want to get full pay, but they come like 30 minutes late, but don't want to stay longer for it. So there have been those cases, but a lot of them actually over the years, none of them were like that. At least, from my agency, because I'm picky. I'm extremely selective because, a great woman on your team could really uplift you or completely destroy the empire you're building, just like a relationship, like people say. And same goes for guys too, it goes both ways. But yeah, over the years, I had a lot of great girls, even ones that left, on bad terms, but they never came late like that and expected, the same pay or not to stay longer.
Yeah.
A lot of them actually offered to stay longer, before I even bring it to their attention, just out of the sense of like accountability, merits, and also,
they're
just
the
doing
first
right
ones
thing.
to come to mind in the next project when
Yeah,
they do
exactly.
stuff like that.
And you've probably met a lot of them or seen them already, for future endeavors. Yeah.
Right. Well, since we agree on that topic, I think we can move on.
Do it. Yeah. Oh, that was the quickest one.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the last topic I wanted to talk to you about was this thing about credits, right? So many people, when they get casted, models, actors, whatever, they're not pressing for, and the agents and managers aren't pressing for it either. They're not pressing for them to get credit. And the credit I'm talking about is screen credit.
Towards the end, like the outros and all that, right?
Or in the beginning, whatever
Or
you
even
agree
just on
to.
IG during the release. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been so many situations where, they'll do this music video, they'll do this whatever, and
never say
never
thanks to
get
this
tagged,
person. Yeah.
never get, starring, blah, blah.
They never tag the agency or the one that cast
Right.
them. They tag the girls and exclude me. I know what you mean.
They don't tag the girls.
No, they do.
So
No,
what
my
I'm
experience is that
saying-
they tag the girls, but they leave me out.
And besides the tag, right, there would be so many people that's going to search this model more than the rapper.
Of course.
But they don't put star in this model, right? So I personally think that managers, agents, stuff like, those positions, the representation, they need to push for that. That's not asking for nothing at all.
Yeah, it's a very minimal, and a lot of artists are just extremely weird about it. I don't know what their deal is when it comes to not giving credit to people.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, they're weird, and a lot of them are just, completely nihilistic. I mean, they're just bad people sometimes. Not all of them. I met a lot of great artists. I mean, one of my best friends is an artist and one of my closest people. But, there definitely is a rhetoric that is being pushed to not give credit to people, because people are going to say, oh, I did everything on my own. I never had no help. No, you did.
Right.
You just don't want to give credit to the people because they're not famous like you now.
Right.
Like you think that, all these rappers were alone on the streets and homeless and this and that. No, they had help from people. Like you can't live life without having help from somebody in general. We all need help for something. Nobody could do everything on their own like that. Right. Yeah, some people could, but most people can't, especially as they're trying to bring up their own careers. And by doing that, they break bridges all the time because that becomes disrespectful to the man's art. You don't want to credit the man for his art, for his work, for helping you out. It's a bunch of filthy and great bullshit.
And a lot of agents agree, but they still don't push for it.
See, me,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because it might be a futile, attempt. Mm-hmm. It might just be not even worth it because you get paid and that's all people need to know. You got your pay, you did a good job, and that's it. But of course, you want other people to know that you did a good job by being credited. But when it comes to artists, it's kind of a losing game because they don't communicate like that. They don't listen. They're very dogmatic, stubborn. They don't let any other ideas come their way, especially when they get to a certain level in their careers. They start, taking insight and constructive criticism as total attacks and disrespect.
Right.
And that's what happens when you allow your ego to run your life rather than yourself. But it's just a losing game because they just won't do it. And then when you tell them, like, hey, bro, I really appreciate if you could tag me and tag me if you're going to tag my girls, right? Total ballistic in the DMs. What the fuck you talking about, bro? You trying to tell me to do my job? Like,
right. And
I
a
just
lot of
asked you to
people
give me credit for the work that I did for you, fucking ingrate.
And a lot of people would settle for that. But that's a deal breaker for me because I like the long game. where, you know, people are going to be looking you up for 5 to 10 years after this
Yeah.
project just because your name is mentioned.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I would tell them not to do it rather than not get
remember
that
this,
simple
though,
credit.
Is that so? There actually has been a recent study from what I saw, recently, that rappers have a better chance of becoming doctors rather than rappers. Actually,
I saw that. That's
yeah,
crazy.
like, I'm pretty sure it was all over a couple weeks ago, I think.
I saw
But
that.
yeah, that's basically when it comes to artists trying to give credit. If they give credit, great, stick with them because they're decent people. If they don't, I think that it's not really worth trying to attempt that. You got your pay, you got your money, because when you try to tell somebody to do something right when they never really done right in the first place, they're gonna see you as an entire enemy and then just slander you, cuss you out, and that's a part of the ego.
All right,
That's what the ego drives.
I think we're gonna be in disagreement about this because I understand they need to get paid, but at the same time, you want to progress.
You want longevity. Yes.
You want to progress. You know what I'm saying? You want to elevate after that project. You don't want to keep doing a bunch of projects that's paying you this much, paying you this much, paying you this much. You got to grow your resume and grow your audience.
And it's not going to happen off the rip. Yeah, I knew what you're saying. Especially a lot of outstanding creatives that are overlooked in comparison to the other guy that's mainstream.
Yeah.
It could be annoying, but me, I just wouldn't. I like to choose my battles, and when I know if I'm walking into a lion's den of stupidity and being an ingrate, and with all due respect to any artist, there's a lot of great ones, but let's be honest, there's a lot of toxic and venomous individuals in the rap industry that take anything as far as a request, as a pure attack. Like they're a little mentally not there. But I just wouldn't even do that. I like to pick my battles, when I know that it's for the right reason. And if I'm not getting credit, it only tells me about them. And funny thing about it, I don't have to like them because they can still keep going. There's a lot of people that I don't like to work with, but I work with them because, I have to do a job. I'm not going to be personal about it. But there's a lot of people I don't like in this industry, but I still work with them. I still book them, because it's business end of the day. Business is a morally gray and ambiguous place, in regards to black and white, let's say, right? It's a gray area. There's not really any definitive direction you could take, on how to carry yourself in the industry. But what I will say is that artists need to get better at their business ethics. They need to understand business a lot better because they don't.
No,
They need to start reading a bit more.
The one thing I want to say to close this topic out, what I'm requesting isn't abnormal because this is actually how it's done when they garner their attention.
I'm not saying it's abnormal at all. It's a very right question. It's a very right claim to make. It's just that knowing how the climate is and the mindset of the typical rapper, let's say, or artist in general, it's just a losing game because these people will just cuss you out,
You're
flat
right.
out.
You're right, but we got to change
And not
that.
saying that I'm a coward about that. Of course, I'm going to fight back if that was the case, but it's just not worth it. It's just like you're just going to be wasting your time, stressing yourself out with somebody that is not doing so well, and obviously shows on why, because they can't give credit to somebody that brought a beautiful masterpiece to their doorstep. It's just a losing game, but still work with them, make your money.
I understand your perspective.
Yeah, it's different perspective, but we all have valid points. Yeah, that's best. I guess that's it. Yeah.
Well, it was great talking to you, Benji.
I appreciate it, Keys. Always great seeing you.
I'm definitely excited for the rebrand and everything you and your company got coming up. I'm sure we're going to cross paths a lot.
Oh, yeah, we definitely have. I mean, I'm going to see you on the 19th as well. And I'm getting a call from my guys, so I definitely have to leave right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it. Yeah, sorry. We've been late a little bit.
Bro.
My dog, appreciate it.